Miss Art and friends. We have two special people who are going to talk about the Mercedes and Lamborghini guitars. They're not just any guitar. They're very special guitars, and they're called Teye Guitars. And Seth Williams and Everett Wilbrink are going to talk about these very special guitars that not only do they design, but they make. And that's right here in Nashville. Is that right, Seth?
That's right, yep. Right here in Nashville, just down the road, actually, about 10 minutes from here.
And how long have you been making guitars?
Well, we started in 2006. My friend Teye, who is a flamenco player who played with Joe Ely, built a guitar just like the one on the right here. And we took it to Les Paul and showed it, is it worth doing anything with this? And Les said, this is the closest to the ideal guitar I have in my head. And then we decided to make guitars. Originally in Austin, and in 2015 we started moving to Nashville, and now we do almost everything of the guitars in Nashville.
So if I wanted to, do I come in your store and purchase these, or do I order them, or how do you design?
Well, we don't have a store. We have a workshop where we make them. People call in, or they come out on the through the internet or through some dealers. We have a dealer here in Nashville too, and then most of the time we'll just walk them through the shop, show them what Seth is doing, how Kelly is finishing the guitars, let them try them out, and then they say, "Oh my, I didn't know a guitar could do this."
Well, Avery, I think you told me a very interesting story about the special part of guitars. I'm an artist, and I, on the show, have different artists, and I myself painted pictures of musical instruments, and I painted some of guitars, and the only two that I sold were the guitars that I made this part of the guitar look like a woman's behind, and I sold those two.
Well, Antonio de Torres in Sevilla built guitars in 1830, which is the guitar that probably looks like our guitars, although they had no electricity in those days. But the Les Paul kind of models are all Antonio de Torres ideas. And he said that a guitar should look like a woman. And in fact, we really, if you turn our guitars around, we really try to make the back look as nice as possible as well, because a lot of people that see a lady also, or maybe in the first place, look at her behind and go for it. And actually, our guitars are a little bit like this because they sound great. We actually want to make the best sounding guitars in the world, and I think we're pretty close in doing that. And we feel that a good sounding guitar has to look good. On the other hand, it's a handicap because people look at the guitars and go like, oh, it's such a great looking guitar, it probably sounds like you know what, and then they ignore it. But that's our handicap, the fact that we make guitars look good and sound good. Not everybody believes
so
that.
The person has to be attracted to a certain guitar that they feel that belongs to them. It was interesting, my painting was called First Love. Did you say that, you know, people fall in love with their guitars, you know, they're
Absolutely.
famous, they sell. So if I wanted to, Seth, why don't you play one and let us hear how one sounds?
Sure, absolutely. So this is our Super Coyote model. This is kind of in our player series. This is like a typical guitar you would want to take out on the road, so to say. Got a lot of flash and everything as well. But yeah, I guess what sets our guitars apart is kind of our electronics. They're a little bit more in depth, I'd say, than most guitars on the market. I'll kind of start slowly because it can get a little crazy if I go in the wrong direction. But starting with our switch here, which is our pickup selector, we've got a 5-way switch. So we can basically go from just our bridge right here, which you can get like your rock sounds out of. Get a little bit of rock on there, and then you can go up to our split neck pickup. This is our second position on here. Now we've got a single coil here and a humbucker here, so it's kind of like almost like a Telecaster in a way. You can kind of hear the difference of the two modes already. And the neck kind of smooths it out. And then you've got our center position where you have both of your guitar pickups on. creamier. Now it's kind of funky, you're out of phase. So it's basically like both these pickups are kind of working against each other. So all the low end drops out. Here it kind of drops. Get like your Peter Green sounds kind of. Then in your neck, you're probably what I call the creamiest pickup we have. Breaking away from the switch, this is where it gets really complicated, but also I think probably the coolest part about our instruments. You've got independent volume controls. Normally on any guitar, if you turn down one pickup and the other, it just turns your guitar off. Instead, now you can actually blend two pickups in and get the sound you want, the sound you desire. You can do more neck or less neck or whatever you like. Your tone, typical for any guitar player who knows what a tone does, is kind of drops off all your high end. And then our funkiest part here is our Mojo knob. Now our Mojo knob is like our proprietary function of almost every guitar that we make. And basically what it does is it, in a clever and simplistic way of explaining it, it turns off half your pickup, but it's blendable. Most guitars just have a switch, you turn it off, you can go pretty much from one to the other. Now you can go all the way in between. And the best way for me to explain that is just going back in my neck pickup position. And you're going to hear all the bass kind of roll off, but still be there. So I'm turning it off.
Wow, big difference.
Now I sound like a Fender Stratocaster or something like that. So it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife of guitars. You can get any sound you want just by rolling one knob. Instead of like worrying about what switch is where, I can just roll one knob the whole time and adjust my volume without ever actually turning off.
So basically, every sound that the guitar can make, you can make with this guitar. It's almost like what a painter does with all the different colors. You got the mojo, the tone control, and the switch, and any guitar sound you want, and even sounds that nobody else can do on guitars, we have them, without using any digital stuff or transistors or batteries. It's totally passive, and a lot of guys that try out the guitars and buy them say, I didn't know a guitar could do this.
So I understand you've sold quite a few to some celebrities.
Yeah, Johnny Depp picked one up in the shop of our dealer in Tokyo, which was kind of funny because he could have just walked to Nashville from where he lives here. When I saw Adele's show live in London on the BBC special, I got like, what's that guitar that guy's playing behind her? And so
one of your guitars.
Yeah, he's got one. He works with Sam Smith as well. Cliff Williams of AC/DC bought 3 basses and he bought a guitar for his daughter. So when AC/DC goes back on tour, hopefully, then you'll see our basses. Robert Rodriguez, the filmmaker, has one. B.B. McGill, who plays for Beyonce, she just picked up one. She's the female Jimi Hendrix. And,
oh, wow.
So we're pretty proud of that. She's pretty amazing, yeah.
So if I wanted to purchase, maybe you can just, Seth, you can talk to us about 1 through 4, a little bit about the differences, or maybe the cost, or how long it takes to get one, or how do I know that this one is for me?
Right, sure. I would say really it kind of comes down to a little bit of taste of what you like and what kind of guitars you typically like to play and be seen with. I mean, that's, I think, important for any guitar player or musician going out there to pick out what they like. The models we offer, we have our Super Coyote, the one I've been playing, and I'd like to say I've been traveling with this one for about 2 years, on and off flights primarily. So I take this thing on planes, check it sometimes if I have to, or put it in the overhead. And it's by far out of I think the 20 guitars I've owned over the years, I've never had to adjust it. I don't have to take it to the shop hardly ever and like do the truss rod or adjust string tensions or anything like that.
So it's like a maintenance free.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it held up really well to changing environments, which a lot of guitars don't do. I can just say that from experience, unfortunately. But our Super Coyote here, and then our Fox, these are primarily kind of the same platform. We have our Lawler pickups in every guitar we offer right now. They're custom wound. Lawler is a really highly regarded pickup maker, written books on developing pickups and the history of how pickups are made. Really trusted and regarded builder, so we like working with him. We also have our, that's Apache. That's covered with our.
That's silver, isn't it?
It's an aluminum plate. Actually, yeah, both these are all these are aluminum, and it's acid etched design. It's kind of a really neat process of laying.
So how long does it take to make like this one?
Oh, that would probably take us about 2 months, around 2 months.
And how much would this one, if I want to order? How
Yeah,
much?
that's around $4,500.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you that is like the very, very special guitar that you.
You called it the Mercedes
The Christmas,
guitar.
the Mercedes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if this
Well-
is a Mercedes, where's the Lamborghini?
Oh
Well, the
my gosh.
Lamborghinis are the two on the left.
Yeah.
They're museum quality, investment grade guitars, and everything on here is hand engraved by Teye himself. Teye is my friend that we started the company with. He's the guitar player that
Wow,
came
look
up
at the
with
back.
idea.
Yeah.
So this is called the Shark, and
See the shark there.
the Shark has an
Yeah, I can
engraved
see the
shark on the
shark,
back, and it's a unique guitar. We're only building 2 of them. The Shark's teeth. Everything, by the way, everything you see on all of the guitars, the knobs and the tuners here, they're all our design as well. We do everything. The pickups, Jason Lola wants the pickups for us, so that's a third-party thing. The rest, and the strings we buy from the Dario, but the rest is all done by us in-house. From
So
the
if you're,
from the
if
aluminum.
you are, you know, if you're in Nashville, you're in the right place, you know, to be. So people are just like,
Well, you would expect that because there's 70,000 guitar players in Nashville.
70,000
maybe even more.
70,000 guitar players in Nashville.
But
Everybody's a songwriter.
Yeah, but
yeah.
most of the guitar players in that Loving Spoonful song are playing for tips, and it's just like in society, a lot of working for tips, and it's hard. We do deals with people that we think are very talented. We give them a break or do an installment plan. And then you have to get, so it's hard for them to get one of our guitars. There's a lot of Chinese-built guitars.
I was going to ask, is there any way that you have? What I mean, if I was in a competition, then like, well, can you make a left-handed guitar?
Well, we do left-handed guitars too. Yeah, so we can build you one. But what we tried recently is just look at everything. What can we replace with cheaper stuff? How can we build a guitar that competes with the Chinese? And we can, because all our stuff, there's one pot in there that drives the mojo. And there's one thing that if you go to a competing guitar, it probably costs you 50 cents for a pot. Ours is $60. So it's not possible to compete with the Chinese, and we don't really want to compete with the Chinese.
So when you have, I get this guitar, do you like give me a certificate that says
Yeah.
this is purchased at a certain time?
It's handmade,
handmade.
handcrafted. Who the guys are that build it for you, and you got the long
Warranty.
warranty, unless you're Pete Townsend, because we
Pete
don't.
Townsend.
Yeah, if you smash your guitar, then we might put it back together, but you have to pay for the work.
And we don't have any here, but we make basses as well. And we've had a bass player that bought one. He ran into some problems on the road, and he just happened to be coming through on a Saturday, called us Friday night. Saturday morning, I was at my bench fixing his guitar, had him in and out, back on the road the next day. So we try to really take care of the people.
So what I see is like this is like an adoption that you make a personal commitment. You put all your energy, your time, your love, your design into it. And then you make a connection with the people because you look at them, you know them after they do this because you see that they pick out a certain style.
Yeah.
So you know something about that person, they know something about you. Then you have a sort of a lifetime commitment with that guitar. Something happens, call me. You know, here I am. So it's
It's kind of funny because we only build around 100 guitars a year, And there's companies in Nashville that build 800 guitars a week or a day. Now I forgot what it is. I think it's 800 a day. So we know all of our players, and sometimes we know the troubles they're going through. Or, oh, I lost my job, or my wife has left me. There's one guy in San Francisco who bought a lot of our museum quality guitars. He spent about $150,000 on guitars.
$150,000. How many guitars was that?
Only 6.
6 guitars for $150,000.
Yeah, and his wife left him, and his guitars left him too, and he can't get them back. So he called us last week. He said, "Can you just send me one of your cheaper guitars, the Super Coyote, because she may come back and get them on too. But I have a show and I need to play." So we flew out a Super Coyote to him, and he's happy again.
Oh, he may be your best customer.
Oh, he's definitely our best customer.
She took everything,
yeah.
even my guitar. She took everything, even my guitar.
There's a song in it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Tom T. Hall, you know, the songwriter, singer in Nashville, used to go to pawn shops, pick up guitars, pluck them, and say, "I know there's a song in here."
Well, I noticed recently that one pawn shop in South Carolina had 3 guitars, and they put them on eBay. So I called them. I said, "I want to buy all 3 of them." And but I lost the biz because the last hour they really went up in price. And it's just sad to see something like that happen with one of our guitars.
So you're kind of like talking to me. I understand, like a guitar addict. Like, you know, you save them, you rescue them. You can't let them be mishandled. I mean, you know, in Nashville now, in the airport.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everywhere you go, because I travel a lot, and I know when they're coming to Nashville because they got their musical cases with them.
I think it's fine because I always fly with them in the overhead, and I remember the first time that one of the guys there just wanted to give me a body check, and he goes like, "What do you got?" And I showed him the guitar, and he started talking for 20 minutes about the guitar, and I got like, "Hey, you got to search me." He said, "Oh, we don't have any time," and I go, "Why don't you walk through?" That was kind of, I'm not going to mention any names.
So it is a. What I hear you say is better to have a guitar than a pet, because you have a pet guitar. You know, people want to rub your guitar. People want to touch your guitar.
Yeah, and we don't have to have a plastic bag to carry the. Okay, that's it.
That's how that goes with pets.
So tell me about Teye.
Teye is at the moment in Spain. His wife is from Spain. She's a flamenco dancer, and he's building the museum-grade investment-grade museum-quality guitars. And one of the ones that impresses everybody the most is the Ramses, that has the Egyptian style stuff. This one took about a year to build.
This is inlaid, and that's
yeah, and then everything, like even the bridge and the little things in the bridge are engraved.
Even the tops of the bridge, like parts you don't even see.
He's doing that with
it is like a totally. And that's different, because that is every
this is
every
Cleopatra
back
in the line.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's inlaid as well on the back. I mean,
Right.
So he does it with a Dremel, which is like a dentist drill.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys from Dremel send 10 people over to film him doing the job, and they're using that as a TV commercial in Spain, Italy. I think it's going out in Germany. We put it on the website too.
It's like a 3 or 5 minute documentary just following him and how he uses the tools that they make. So it's a really interesting.
Yeah, and if you look at the
video.
knobs, for instance, they are modeled after the
But
Morse.
I see it as a totally like new invention. The guitar maybe been its granddaddy, but with all of these non-electronic sort of knobs and whistles, it's maintenance free. To me, it looks like a new instrument. Like the guitar was a granddaddy, but
Well, I appreciate that. I think we make something very special, and that's also a little harder because people are used to the Fords and the Chevys of the guitar business. So it's a little harder to go to something that's totally new, that has stuff that they've never seen before. But and bass players are a little bit more flexible. They are more progressive, I guess, than guitar players. But the guys that start that buy one of our guitars, most of the time sell part of their collection and buy more of our guitars, which I think is pretty cool.
So like if I was to buy one, then I refer my friend, and then they refer a friend, and you have a genealogy of this guitar was purchased by so-and-so who connected to so-so. I mean,
Well, it's not. I'm getting a little older. Sometimes I forget. But fortunately, Seth remembers everything, and Kelly remembers everything. Kelly is the lady that finishes the guitars. She shipwrecks them. That's what we call them, because we don't do. If you buy a Super Coyote, then your Super Coyote looks totally different than another one, because we have the rule that we don't make any guitar look like another one. So if you buy an Apache, which is the one with the turquoise rim, the front is always the same, but the finishing is always different.
Yeah, the backs on these, we hand apply an oil finish instead of spraying with like a nitrocellulose or polyurethane, which is almost 90% of the guitar market, I would say. So by doing that, by just doing oil and doing it by hand, you basically allow the wood to remain porous, and that way you can actually kind of
well, it adds to the
breathe.
sound.
Yeah,
doesn't
it doesn't clog the sound up. When you spray those lacquers and stuff on top of them, it basically hardens down to one solid piece. So basically whatever happens, you get the dull sound that you would hear out of other guitars. And with this, each one has its own characteristic because it's cut from a different part of the tree.
Right.
You know, there's a whole lot of different variables that can go in. So we could build 3 of the same guitar, and
And
each
they're
one
beautiful.
sounds
Absolutely
slightly
beautiful.
different. But yeah, no, the guitar, Kelly does an amazing job with her shipwreck finishes. All this grain was hand applied to mimic tree grain, because some of the mahogany we have may look a little plain, so it's the way we can spruce it up and give people something more visual to look at.
Yeah, and then some of the wood is really great. There's some Corina
What's
that
the back of this one
ama-
look like?
Let's see.
Yeah, we have no
I'm
idea.
excited. I want to see.
Yeah.
I want to see. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so
Because even this and this is still different.
the contrast.
The contrast of this and the movement, it's just like a moving. And I imagine, you know, by the time you play and the person's energy comes through there, I mean, that's like why Mama's food tastes good, because Mama's put her energy in
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Yeah, they all.
Yeah, we saw
Yeah,
that.
we
one
saw
with
that
the
one a minute ago,
Egyptian.
that's right.
Yeah, and we saw the shark. How
Yeah.
about the fox? Is that,
Fox, yeah.
we call this one the
The
fox.
fox.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, all the wood is always different.
Yeah, some reds and yellows and oranges, and
Beautiful.
we try to really bring out.
So if I was really tall, can you make it like bigger? Like, can you like make short ones, big ones?
Well, if you're taller, then you should either get a baritone, which is the same guitar shape, but the neck's a little longer,
That much longer.
And it's a deeper sound. And if you're really tall, well, then your answer is become a bass player.
Oh, that's funny.
But the-
If you're really tall and play guitar, become a bass player.
Yeah, because Robert Rodriguez, the movie maker for Once Upon a Time in Mexico, and he's pretty tall. So he said, "Well, this looks if I play one of your guitars, it looks like a ukulele." So we developed another guitar called the Jazz Cat, which is
Jazz
a bigger
Cat?
guitar. The Jazz Cat.
Jazz Cat, that's the name of the guitar.
Yeah, it was inspired by the Stray Cats because they play the bigger semi-acoustic guitars. And so he's happy with that one because now it doesn't look like a ukulele anymore. He's almost 7 foot tall. And but I said, well, if you really want to be playing an impressive guitar, you have to become a bass player. Cliff Williams, the guy from AC/DC, the other guys are all very small in AC/DC, and Cliff is about 2 heads bigger than Agnes. He's 6'3" or 6'4".
Wow.
Agnes is probably, can I say, around 5 feet.
So tell me more about you, Seth, about how we can find out more about the guitars and how we can follow them. Like it would be
Sure.
like where are all of these guitars?
I think the popular social media outlet right now is Facebook. You can search for us there. It's Teye, Teye Guitars. Our Instagram is also fairly popular. It's Teye Guitars Inc. And Teye.com, Teye.com. You can go there and see all the models we've made and ones we offer and contact forums if you want to ask questions. All our emails go
Do
pretty
you
much.
do you set these up at exhibitions?
Yeah, we've done NAMM. We've done guitar shows in the past, and we'll be back at Summer NAMM and Winter NAMM as well in Anaheim. And yeah, I mean, we try to set them up, and we have a lot of dealers and stores as well.
Well, I want you guys to wind up here a little bit, and the people are going to tune us in, tune us out for next time on Miss Art and Friends. And Averett, I want to thank you for bringing Seth, and Seth for bringing Averett.
Yep.
And so glad that you came and talk about Teye Guitars for us in Nashville. And if the age of these, how long have they been making these?
We started making them in 2006.
2006.
Yeah, but the guitars that we made the last 3 years are way better than anything else we did in the past. Our team is fantastic, and we really learned a lot about how to make a great guitar.
We all hone our skills in the places that we're best at. So I think
Well, Seth, I want to thank you for coming.
thank you.
And thank you, Averett, for coming. And
Sure.
we want to thank everybody for joining another episode of Miss Art and Friends. And we'll be back to talk about more guitars. And I'll paint another painting of my first love, because I can really sell those guitars that look like women, you know.
Well, maybe you should do one of ours, and we can make it look like you too.
Oh no, that would be one of those big ones, the tuba, whatever, you know, the boo boo boo, or the
no.
something.
With
you
one
know.
of the basses. Okay.
Thank you. All right, cut.